What's new? I took lasagna to friends of ours today before the freezing rain came. I sent Alan to the vitamin store.
I just had a vitamin. Is it showing?
Nope. Before the freezing rain came. And now the freezing rain has started.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like freezing rain.
I was listening to the radio, and it was talking about many things, but the last thing I heard they were talking about Canada have approved the vaccine, and the U.S. is still apparently not approved it yet.
They did last night.
Oh, they last night did it. At the time they were talking, I guess. Maybe that was a pre-recorded interview.
Right.
They hadn't, but okay. But noteworthy is Canada has, although it happened in Quebec, it's been around in Quebec for a long time, but Canada now has a compensation mechanism for those who get a vaccine and are injured by it. So that tells you how, I guess, prevalent, or at least that tells you how politicians or how certain people view the prevalence of vaccine. I prefer to call them vaccine concerned people, or vaccine reluctant people, because those I think are different than anti-vaxxers. That shows you the degree of prevalence there is, that they've said, well, just in case somebody's worried. But here's what I
have to get a cough drop.
Here's what I have attempted to explain to a few people, is that, and I think it may have something to do with the arrival of the internet, maybe. It's become easy for people to become aware of somebody in their social circle that has a child who's had an adverse reaction to a vaccine. So even if we say it's a 1 in a million or 1.5 in a million shot that you're going to get a really serious adverse reaction, years gone by, unless you live next door to the person who had that happen, you probably never heard about it. Because even if you live next door to somebody, what are the chances that you would be telling anybody, beyond somebody you'd call on the phone? It'd be very difficult for that information to transmit across the country. But now with the internet, and this has been around for, a few decades now, right? It's possible for people to be part of groups of people who have like a website, and some of these might be a little bit, conspiracy theory oriented, but you could be part of like a baby, new mother or new parent baby's website that would be connected to a whole lot of people across the world, potentially, or across the country. So if one of those people in that website or in that group of people has a child that gets vaccinated and has one of these rare adverse reactions, it's possible for a whole lot of people to find out about it.
Yes,
really
true.
Quick.
Yeah.
And the internet allows people to forward stuff and, hey, check this out and all that. So that the information spread is really profound now.
Yeah.
Which makes it really easy for a parent to be sitting there going, they don't know them personally, not my brother's child, my sister's child, not my next door neighbor's child, but they feel like they know somebody because this person on the internet, and maybe they've got pictures, whatever, this is my son and he had a vaccine, he got this vaccination, whatever, and now here he is in hospital, blah. That has a very profound psychological impact on parents of, especially their first kid, I guess. Because I always hear the jokes about, well, the first kid, we're really, really careful. The second kid, who cared, right? I hear stories about that. Like, the rules changed when the second kid came along. But anyway, so what happened over the years, I think the industry that makes vaccines, the medical industry, whatever we'll call it, and even the doctors, well, a lot of the doctors don't know. They just go, this is what we're supposed to give them, but they're not specialists. So it seems like the medical industry community didn't see the eventual snowball effect of, every once in a while we have one of these, every once in a while we have one of these. Now it's very easy to communicate. Now people are tracking, and there's websites that will, if you find the right one, I guess, list all the people who've had these serious effects, blah, blah, blah. So it's really easy for people to be concerned because they have access to the information, and there's only recently that I hear there's a certain kind of a reaction to a vaccine where the vaccine process, the vaccination and the immunity response process doesn't always work the same way for everybody. So there are some people who actually get a peculiar reaction. And those peculiar reactions have theoretically been around for a long time, but only now are they recently, discovering, I guess, and discussing what it exactly is, why some people have these. And we're not talking just allergies. We're talking about a given person's reaction to the vaccine is unpredictably different and strange.
A fever and a seizure and
well, it could be that their body does something with it somehow that nobody else's or very few other people's bodies will do with it. And it makes them really sick, and sometimes it'll kill them. So because for a long time in the vaccine world, everyone would say, oh, there are some rare reactions, and those are kind of normal. We don't worry about those. Those are the rare ones. It's a 1 in a 500,000. Well, a 1 in a 500,000 shot sounds really good to somebody if they don't know somebody who has a kid that had the 1 in a 500 shot. If you've got a newborn and your next door neighbor had a 1 in 5,000 shot or 500,000 shot of, keeled over and died, your relationship with, I think I might not want to get my kid vaccinated is much more powerful than if you read 1 in 500,000 and you don't know anybody that it's happened to. Mm-hmm. It's a human psychology game. And for the longest time, it was pretty routine for medical people to say, yes, in rare cases, in very rare cases, this can happen. Well, when you raise the awareness of the rare cases and what that looks like, because the internet's there, people can kind of go like, I don't know that I want to do this. I'm taking this action. I'm going to take my kid to I almost said a vet. I'm going to take my kid to the doctor and they're going to get vaccinated, and that might produce this thing I saw online. Well,
that's scary.
That's kind of scary, right? Because if I don't get the kid vaccinated, something might happen, but nothing's going to happen right this moment if I don't vaccinate the kid. So, in my mind, vaccine reluctance is a product of the fact there have been complications, and there's also been all kinds of weird stuff that different people who dig into it have found, like where a vaccination has had a flaw, and the rollout, now maybe nothing like this has happened recently, but there have been, the famous one in Canada was Trivirex, which caused a meningitis outbreak. So there's that kind of stuff too that's all, again, on the internet. People can read about it. So in my opinion, the medical industry didn't properly address that way back when. They kind of just let it slide, and they called people wingnuts if they didn't believe. So it's not a question of not believing in vaccination as a concept, a medical concept. Yes, when it is done properly and it has the proper result, it has a beneficial result, yes. But there have been, because it's big business, there have been all kinds of weird things that have happened that have just been kind of, oops, sorry. We sent you saline instead of an actual vaccine. Oops, sorry. That kind of thing, which has happened. Or, oops, we gave you a vaccine, a new one that caused meningitis. Oops, sorry. That kind of stuff lingers in the mind, especially with the internet, so that people are like worried. So I think it's normal. It's natural for people to be like, I don't know. Like for me to get the new one, I kind of like the fact that the new COVID-19, I'm not going to be on the front line. That's just my natural, they say it's great, but I'm willing to hide out in my house. Let Charlie go get it and see what happens to Charlie and all his friends. Let all the frontline workers get it. Okay, well, no, they're not dropping like flies with some strange new thing. Okay, well, then maybe it's safe. That's, I think, a natural human thing. Fear of the unknown. It's built in.
Can I talk?
Yes.
I know in the States that they're not going to give it to kids younger than 16, and possibly not those younger than 18.
Yeah, I heard that on the radio too.
I don't know what the age limit is in Canada, actually.
Yeah. Why is that?
I don't know. I'll research that and get back to you.
Oh.
I just there's so many more vaccines for little kids now than there were. Are they looking at that? I mean, chickenpox, no big deal, right? We used to take babies over to other babies or toddlers.
Get them infected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And then someone decided, no, we should have a vaccine for that. It's like, well, why do you, I don't know what the incidence.
I mean, there's some childhood illnesses that are not super dangerous for little kids, whereas mumps, when you're a full-grown man, can make you sterile, right?
Yeah.
But
Like, that's not really a problem, though. There's too many people in the world anyway. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. What do I
anyway,
sound like when I say that's what I heard?
is it all?
Trump.
Oh,
That's what I was told. That's what I was told. There was too many people in the world anyway, so sterilized men with mumps, what's the problem?
anyway, I wish that they wouldn't give babies so many things. Just wait till they're older, like
Well, yeah.
before school. They don't start school till 4.
And I view that as a what do they call that? It's the reverse of the vaccine reluctance. It's like the pharmaceutical industry figured out that if we can fearmonger the parents into getting their kids vaccinated when they're really, really young, then that's when they'll get it done. If we let them wait till the kids are 2 years old, maybe it won't happen.
There's also the doctor gets paid so much for the series, so he's going to want to do it when the parents are nervous about this newborn, right?
Yeah.
Plus, he can keep them coming for the rest of the booster part.
Well, they come for the first 2 years, right? For the first 2 years of life, there's a lot of doctor visits, and then after 2 years, it kind of is different, right? So there's some of it is solving the human psychology puzzle of like, how do we get everybody vaccinated? Like, the vaccinations used to happen in schools, right? Didn't they?
Yeah, what did we get? We got something in school. I don't think it was tetanus.
Yeah. But anyway,
Smallpox?
like let's say that before they go to school, they're supposed to get vaccinated, but you can wait until they're 3.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, the industry doesn't like to wait until they're 3.
It's
just
so much better because they weigh more and they're, less
More
likely
robust
to
little
get
people.
sick.
But the argument is that, yeah, but the kids will be in contact with all these different people. But in theory, all those different people they're in contact with have been vaccinated. So why can't you wait till later? Anyway, so I think a lot of people would be, I know I've read some stuff, people would be really happy to see just, stop vaccinating little infants, wait till they're, this would solve the whole, the autism debate too, because apparently autism always kicks in before age 2 or something, or whatever. So if you delayed the
Vaccine.
Delayed the vaccination thing until after all the autism manifestation ages typically are, then you could just say, yep, your kid's already autistic, right? Yep, we're giving him a vaccine for this. This got nothing to do with the autism. Because they've now, there's a guy that I remember listening to on a podcast saying that they figured out, I think they were using imaging or something, and they can look at a kid's brain or something using imaging and see this kid will be autistic, this kid won't be.
Wow.
From an age like, before 1 year of age, I think, or something like
Wow.
that. So the way to prove that, the way to eliminate that concern is say, yep, we're not going to vaccinate anybody until after this age, because it's like age 2 or even 3. Then autism will have manifested, yes or no, and then you give them the vaccination. Well, people apparently don't manifest autism after age 3 or whatever, if I remember correctly. So that would make that go away. But the insistence on keeping things the way it's always been has, in my opinion, fueled the growth of concern. And yes, there are people who are just totally wingnut. The reality is there are some complications that do happen from time to time. That fuels concern. No one wants to address that.
Remember this anyway, I heard this story. So this mom had twins. She took the babies to her pediatrician or her doctor for immunization. There were a set of 3
For each kid.
for each kid.
Yeah.
And they gave 4 by mistake to the one
Kid.
baby.
Yeah.
And she noticed and she said, don't touch the other one. You're not touching the other one. And the first one with all these 4 shots got really sick, fever, seizures, and was autistic from then on.
Yeah.
And the other one, a pianist, super smart.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, that goes back to, well, can you replicate that? That's what people, the doctor side, always want to go, can you replicate that? What they don't seem to be taking into account is, it doesn't matter if you can replicate that. If you put an event together and an outcome that's not connected to the event shows up, the human psychology has it kind of go like, well, yeah, my kid was okay when I gave you my kid. Now my kid's not okay. You know, like, so you got to address that. You can't just keep whacking people generally on the head going, it's science, do what we said, don't be a wingnut. Like, it's like, there's a whole science of human psychology. Why haven't they, you know, said, well, gee, maybe we should change the way we approach this whole vaccination thing because there's this growing vaccination reluctance, and we should address the vaccination reluctance by changing how we do things to remove the concern.
Yeah.
But that's not the way it's gone.
I'm looking forward to getting the COVID vaccine. I'm glad I'm not a nurse.
How long
nurse
do you
in the
predict
hospital.
it'll take? How far into 2021?
May,
May? Springtime then, we're talking.
June, even later for everybody, I think.
No, but I mean, how soon do you think you'll get yours?
Oh,
That's what I meant.
I don't think I'm going to be picked. I think they're doing over 70.
Grandmothers aren't going to be on the list.
No, over 70 they're going to do. Like the first wave is healthcare professionals and those in long-term facilities. And I think the second wave, I don't know what it will be. Those over 70.
I think
it's
someone will come
weird to
knocking
do-
on the door, ding dong, they were here to give you your shot.
I think it's weird not to do the whole household at the same time. That seems weird to me. Like if I get mine first, I can have Charlotte over. But then you're a dead man. Doesn't it seem weird?
Yeah, it does. But I mean, if they're going to give it to all the really frail elderly in the what do you call
Long-term
it?
facility.
Long-term facility care, and then the workers that work there, and then the frontline workers in hospitals and all that. Yeah.
Somebody said the next that should get it are everybody else out there, like bus drivers and grocery store
Yeah,
clerks.
anybody who identifies as I'm in frequent and constant contact with other
And I
people.
can't help it.
Yeah.
'Cause- And then the old people
Yeah.
that are not in long-term care facilities, because really we can stay in longer and
In theory, could restrict.
isolate more.
Yeah. Well, you see, every time we make one of these videos with commentary, we end up potentially being this video becomes possibly the point, the video that someone could point to and go, look, these people had it figured out. They suggested this a long time ago. How come no one did that? Or, look how wrong they were. Either way.
Or he's alive and she's dead.
Yeah.